Putin kills his opponent's people. Putin does not allow dissent. And that's kind of a model that Trump actually likes. For the first time in modern history, we have a president who is aligning himself with authoritarian governments all over the world. So it is a very distressing moment.
Senator Sanders, recently a number of Republicans have hesitated to say outright that Russia invaded Ukraine. At the same time, Donald Trump has not only called Zelensky a dictator, but he is speaking in increasingly positive terms about Vladimir Putin. In your opinion, what is going on with the state of the GOP right now?
What is extraordinarily distressing to the majority of the American people is that we now have a president who has very strong authoritarian tendencies and in many ways is moving the United States of America, the longest standing democracy on earth, into an authoritarian style society. And in many ways, he likes what Putin does. Putin does not allow freedom of the press. Putin kills his opponent's people. Putin does not allow dissent. And that's kind of a model that Trump actually likes. So what the American people are seeing now is that for the first time in modern history, we have a president who is aligning himself with authoritarian governments all over the world, with not only Russia, but with Iran, with Belarus, rather than with democratic governments in Europe and in the Ukraine. So it is a very distressing moment. And in terms of the Republican Party, as part of that movement toward authoritarianism, you have people like Elon Musk, who's the richest guy in the world. And what he says to Republicans, if you don't do what the president of the United States wants you to do, we're going to spend unlimited amounts of money to defeat you. So you better get in line. And you have Republicans who know better. Obviously, everybody in America knows that Russia started this war. But you have Republicans who are just too afraid to speak up against Trump. It's a sad state of affairs.
Let's imagine the worst case scenario where American foreign interests align with Russia's. How would that impact the lives of average Americans?
Well, for a start, it would undermine what the United States of America has been about for 250 years. America is the longest standing democracy on earth. And for so many years, it's not perfect. God knows American democracy is not perfect, and that our foreign policy over the years has had many, many flaws. But the truth is that all over the country, developing nations look to the United States, to our Constitution, to our Declaration of Independence, to our appreciation of human freedom and democracy, and say, that makes sense. And now, for us to shift into alliances with authoritarian thugs and murderers like Putin, or the Saudi Arabian government, or other oligarchies, is something that is extremely distressing to the vast majority of American people.
Do you think that history will look back favorably upon the past decade of military and humanitarian aid for Ukraine?
I think what history will show is that a country was invaded by a large authoritarian nation with a powerful army who thought that he could conquer that nation in a few days. But that nation, Ukraine, fought back with extraordinary courage, has suffered terribly as a result. Its European allies, democratic nations, have stood up to Putin and come to their aid. And up until now, the United States of America and the people of America have also supported Ukraine. So I think at a time when democracy all over the world is under threat, when we're seeing increased power for oligarchs and authoritarians, I think defending Ukraine is defending democracy and justice all over the world.
We have, as you mentioned, Elon Musk working alongside Trump, and Musk regularly posts Russian propaganda and circulates it online. What can the U.S. do to better fight Russian disinformation in its public sphere?
That's an issue that we are thinking about and working on every single day. And I'll just give you another example. It's not just Musk and his power owning Twitter, which is extraordinary. He has extraordinary reach. And by the way, don't think it's just Ukraine that he is going after. Here, in terms of domestic policies, we had passed some important legislation. Musk lied about that legislation and got Republicans to defeat it a couple of months ago. But it's not just Musk. Just the other day, literally the other day, the second wealthiest man in the country here, his name is Jeff Bezos, second wealthiest guy under Musk. And he has decided to convert the Washington Post, one of our major newspapers, from what I would call a centrist moderate paper to an editorial page, which is now right-wing. He just made that public yesterday. So this is a difficult moment for my country, for people who believe in democracy, who don't believe in oligarchy. And we are doing our best